So hi there, my name's Luca. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 5 years. This year in 2021, I'm launching some new exciting ventures. To prepare myself for that, I decided to organize an event series. It's called Fuck Ups and Success. I'm meeting with Malta's most talented entrepreneurs. I'm going to learn about their entire life story, and most importantly, I'm going to learn about their mistakes and how those mistakes have eventually led to their success. Looking forward to it. Today we're meeting Degiorgio. He's the owner of Gianpula. Gianpula is one of Malta's largest clubbing complexes and is very notable for world-class festivals and attracting thousands and thousands of people to Malta each year. Okay, hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Fuck Ups and Success. Today we're meeting with Degiorgio. He's the owner of Gianpula Village. Gianpula Village is in the top 100 clubs of the world, and we're very lucky to be here speaking with him today. It's been a crazy year for the whole nightlife industry. We all dearly miss being out on the dance floor, socializing, and the good tunes that are brought to us by amazing DJs on this island. So thank you, Matthew, here for joining us today. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the story? Where did Gianpula come from? And what's up with this name? Who invented it?
Yeah, the name started obviously because the land before my father took it was by two people called Gianni and Paola. So then the name derived from Gianpula. And it actually started off with Ta Gianpula rather than just Gianpula.
You started with a place that was just a farmhouse in the center of the island, and over the years you've turned it into a top 100 clubbing destination in the world.
Yes, obviously it started off with just a small farmhouse, and then, which actually, to be fair, started off, which is a family business, started off by my father and my mother, who, to be fair, didn't really actually think it was going to evolve into a nightclub. So they didn't actually start it off to become a nightclub. They started it off, to be fair, for a group of friends, started coming over on the weekends, and obviously slowly it became larger and larger, but not to the extent it is today. It only, to be fair, started off in what we know as of today called the clubhouse, which is the inside area. For maximum at the beginning was maybe 50 or 60 people, which started off in winter. And then slowly, as years came on, it carried on into the outdoor spaces. The outdoor area, which you know of as the main room of Gianpula.
And I mean, you've been doing this for quite a number of years now. What were the early years like for you personally?
No, I've been doing this now, I think, for 19 years. When I started at the age of 18, in full force into the business, prior to that, I obviously was studying in the UK. And when I used to come over to Malta in the summer season, my father always used to want to get me involved into the business and get me involved by doing certain kind of work that maybe he wanted to train me from the bottom. Cleaning of glasses, cooking, doing hot dogs, doing certain things to make you realize that you need to start from the bottom and slowly get to the top.
So you learn how to do things the hard way, and you also had an experience studying abroad. You think studying at university is important for young businessmen and entrepreneurs?
Not necessarily. I mean, I did 4 or 5 years doing my GCSEs and A-levels in the UK. To be fair, I did not go to university because at the age of 18 and 19, I came directly to Malta to carry on the business from my father. I believe in experience. And yes, you can learn a lot from school, which is important, very important. But at the end of the day, it's not just about degrees. It's about having full-on experience and understanding the business. And obviously, failing on the way is very important as well.
You obviously have to meet a lot of people in your line of work, and some of those people who work with the nightclubs are DJs or promoters. What kind of things really sticks out to you when you see somebody who's either just starting industry or is getting somewhere?
Passion. It's all about passion. If an artist or a DJ or even promoter doesn't have the passion, is just doing it for a quick buck, he never ends up. He never does it for long enough. It's all about passion. A lot of artists or DJs you see today, they still have the passion. Even, for example, you take now with the hard hit of the COVID, a lot of artists and DJs are producing more and more. So they're carrying it on in a different way and creating more and more passion for it to hopefully restart when they get out of the hard hit they are now at the moment.
Well, are there some people who stand out either because of maybe your personal friendship with them, or you've just seen them really passionate about the industry over many years?
No, not necessarily. I mean, at the end of the day, it just boils down to passion, Luke. You know, it's people. It's like in any kind of job. If you're there just for the 9 to 5 kind of thing, it doesn't really work. You want people that want to grow in life, and you want people to push themselves further and further.
Okay. So now just one question outside of the nightlife industry about you personally. Maybe like what do you do to relax, or maybe when you're stressed out in a busy summer, like how do you let off steam?
To be fair, when I'm stressed out, most of my days are, to be fair, in the clubs. Monday to Sunday, I'd have maybe one day off, if it is you want to call it one day off, and that would be just going to the beach, relaxing. But most of the time, it's always in the nightlife. I wouldn't really say during the summer season I'm just having a few days off, because what I find very important is that people focus, especially even if they're stressed, they can try and get out of the stress on their own, rather than trying to either go to the beach or not.
Okay, all right. And so over a few years ago now, you became a father. Had that to have any change on the way you approach your work life, or even just maybe how you're reorienting priorities in any sense, or does it change anything?
It hasn't changed, to be fair. Obviously, with COVID, I've spent much more time with my son. I got to know him more. He's 2 years, 5 months at the moment. But prior to that, I'm a bit of a workaholic. So at the time, it was all about the work pre-COVID.
Okay, so obviously coronavirus this year had a huge effect on the industry. It had a huge effect on the people who enjoy going to these to going to social events, and it's still something that's on people's mind all of the time. Do you think this summer there'll be any sort of social events, or is it still too early to know?
No, I don't think it's too early. I think we'll manage to get into the clubs reopening. Now, I believe at the beginning there'll probably be seated type of events in the nightclubs. But I can't see this carrying on for the long haul. Obviously, everyone wants herd immunity for it to be back to normality, and where festivals can get back to the norm of the way we know them at the moment. But I'm I'm convinced that the seated events are going to happen very, very soon.
And over the years, has there ever been anything that you've always wanted to implement, and maybe it's something in your plans and hasn't come to fruition yet, or?
No, to be fair, the minute I took over the business, I always wanted to create an entertainment village. And I believe over the years, we're now on to 11 venues. Over the years, I think it's worked perfectly. It's worked perfect in a way that a client can come on a Friday night, he can go from one venue to another, he can have techno in one club, commercial, reggaeton in a different club, which, to be fair, in Malta, as a complex, there isn't. There never was. And that was the vision when I came over from the UK at the age of 18, 19, what I wanted to implement for Malta. There are food outlets over there as well. So it's basically like a one-stop shop. You can come there. There are taxi outlets. There were merchandise stores. There are food outlets. It's just a one-stop shop. You can come there, enjoy yourself, and be taken home by an actual safe and sound.
So obviously technology is changing a lot of the way we work. Technology like social media has probably influenced how we enjoy a night out. Do you have any unique take on how things are developing when it comes to social media or
When it comes to
online
social media, it has
ticketing?
advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, obviously, you can have people knowing exactly where other people are, so it can drive people to the club. The other problem is that on dance floors, you're seeing everyone with mobiles. So that has a bit of a side effect because you want people dancing rather than everyone is just posing for photos in the clubs, which, to be fair, has also affected certain kind of DJs as well, because DJs want to give people pleasure and not having DJs looking at the crowd and all be trying to take their own selfies.
You think this would change post-COVID, or it would have the same kind of issues?
I think it's going to have the same. It's going to have the same effect. Even though people are striving to get back onto the dance floors, they can't wait to get back onto the dance floors. But I think the norm of people will just be the same.
Are you familiar with the concept of blockchain?
Not really.
Basically, I'm asking you because I did a bit of looking around, and there's some technology proposals through blockchain where it allows you to, as a client, receive kind of loyalty, which comes in these cryptocurrencies, and then be able to either tip the DJ or receive VIP bookings based on how often you're visiting clubs. Has that ever crossed your mind to look into?
No, it hasn't. To be fair, the only technology that we mainly use is, apart from like the Facebook and kind of things, technology, we use systems of bar technologies, whereby, for example, inside the bars everything is electronically derived. So when, for example, people go and take a drink from the bar, everything is when you punch the drink, it comes down, goes into a system. It comes on my phone, it comes on the manager's phone. It knows exactly how many tots have gone out in the end of the night. So we've basically pushed more into that kind of technology.
Okay. So it's hard to get your friend behind the bar to pour you an extra tot, I imagine. So what about things like the vaccine passport? If people have spoken about having a vaccine passport for countries and maybe even for festivals, has this crossed your mind?
This has crossed our mind. We obviously want to restart. So obviously anything the government puts on us, as in a vaccine passport, or even to enter festivals or enter the clubs, we're all for it. The only issue with that is that our market, which is the youths, are obviously going to get vaccinated later on. And if, for example, we're going to be going for festivals later on in the year, that could have an effect as well when people come from abroad, because in other European countries, a lot of the people are going to take much longer to get vaccinated rather than the Maltese public because of their sizes.
Yeah, we saw some interesting festivals which were going to come into Malta. You think they would be back next year, or were they just a thing that was possible because of last summer's unique scenario?
I don't think it's the same type of festivals, but similar to those type of festivals will return. And I think this end of August, September, October, we're going to see a few festivals back on the island.
So I want to ask a question that is actually just a rumor I've heard from talking to friends about the nightlife scene. There's a lot of stories that we hear from people who are in their 30s about what was like in the 90s and early 2000s in Malta. And there's one that sticks out is about Carl Cox. And when he actually came to Malta, I believe he had an event at the Westin, which was shut down in some way. And would you like to give your perspective on that?
No, I was much younger. I think I was only 17 or 16 or 17. At the time, in those days, I think there were only, we used to call them rave parties. There were only one or two maximum a month or every 2 months. I think at the time the promoters that were doing it, I don't know them personally, but I think they were not as, I wouldn't say professional full-time promoters that there are today.
Right. I guess they were pioneers of their day, doing things for the first time, so it was difficult to do things the right way. What about things like conferences and summits? Malta has seen quite a lot of them. Have you ever thought about going down that line?
You mean by music conferences?
It could be music conferences, but I mean, even we see things. The one that comes to mind is Sigma, where there's a combination of a professional atmosphere as well as an entertainment atmosphere.
Well, to be fair, Gianpula Village around 6 years ago, one of the venues we decided to turn it into a corporate kind of venue, going for these kind of different kind of markets. Unfortunately, we shut it down after 2 years. It didn't work. We realized that the people that know the brand of Gianpula preferred the clubbing aspect to it rather than having a corporate venue incorporated into the village. So obviously we turned that into a completely indoor nightclub, which obviously we are bearing the fruits from it more and more than we did with the corporate aspect.
And like last November, you organized something which was very interesting in my eyes, where you combined a camping activity with your Gianpula grounds, and that seemed like something that was, I think, done for the first time.
That was for the first time, and obviously we thought about it because of COVID. That's something I definitely want to advance in. I think it's a fantastic idea when it comes in. You can incorporate it enormously with the clubbing. The idea would be that someone can come there, have everything ready, so it wouldn't be a situation whereby he's getting his own camp. The camps would be on site, and people would book their actual camp for 2 or 3 days, or even one night during the weekend, and actually party and sleep on site. I think it's a fantastic idea. It came up from our team. And it's something you're going to definitely be seeing in the future.
That's good to hear. I think that's something that people are really craving for. It's a combination of outdoors, socializing, something that we're all missing.
But it's more than, I think, even for a tourist. If tourists coming over from abroad, that kind of market we don't have, and also there isn't available. And that's why we want everything to be plug in, plug out. So basically the person that comes there is finding everything ready.
Yeah. So Matthew Degiorgio, your grandfather is Roger Degiorgio. You mentioned to me earlier that he was actually the architect that designed the original farmhouse, and he's also got quite an interesting history. Are there any particular lessons he might have taught you?
No, to be fair, unfortunately, he passed away about 10 years ago. He was a man that was precise. Everything that he actually did was everything to precision. So if, for example, he would, like what he did with the building, everything was done as it should be. There were no cutting any corners, like unfortunately we are seeing a lot in today's building sites, which, I mean, the building sites of today are very hard to accept, a lot of them.
Okay, so sustainability is quite a hot topic at the moment, and obviously we've seen a lot of businesses shifting how they do things. Is there anything we can expect from Gianpula?
We're going to go into, obviously, the environment is a big aspect at the moment, and we're obviously looking into things by slowly eliminating plastic. Obviously, we use a lot of plastic at the clubs for serving our drinks. So what we're thinking of is slowly, and you will probably hopefully we'll probably see it this summer. Some of the nightclubs will not have the throwable plastic, but will have the hard kind of plastic. It creates a lot of issues for us, obviously, when it comes to washing and more stuff. But it's one aspect that we're definitely going to be going into, and you're going to be seeing it in various clubs, hopefully this summer.
Also, I've seen abroad the concept of having a kind of a card to take care of payments in some sense.
That's we were thinking of having one of those aspects for sure. Looking into contactless, for example, without having actually physical money anymore is another thing we're going to be definitely going into again slowly, because we feel it's going to be the new kind of norm probably in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the past 2 weeks or past 2 months really, cryptocurrency, blockchain, everyone's getting into that. Would you ever think of doing a Gianpula coin and having people, having people, pay for their
Never
drinks?
say never, never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never. But why not? At the end of the day, we're all for new type of technologies, and hopefully more and more things are implemented in the nightlife industry.
So what should we be looking forward to see first from Gianpula in the next year?
Well, in the next year, I think we're going to see similar to what you saw last June. Club nights will restart, one-off events will restart, and hopefully later on in the year, festivals will restart as well. But I think it's going to be back to basics, and I think to be fair, when people do return to the clubs, and I think that they will return with a bang, they do want to see a better level of nightlife. I think people want to see more cleanliness, more health and safety, and this is one of the things that we're actually looking into at the moment. At the moment, for example, even my staff, our full-time management, we're going through various type of courses as well, health and safety courses. We're looking actually handling courses, our food handling courses as well. We're going over them as well with the fire safety as well. We're basically redoing things to when we do restart, having things right up to top notch.
A lot of DJs at the moment they're missing their passion. So it feels like a lot of artists are producing a lot more music. Is that something we should be excited about as a country, to be releasing more music? Do you think we do enough of it?
No, I don't think we do enough. I don't think we do enough of it, because I think a lot of people, a lot of them, not the majority, but a lot of them are part-time, so obviously they don't have much time for producing. But what I've noticed is, due to COVID, a lot of people have been producing more because they have more time on their plate. So obviously, hopefully, we're going to be seeing great new productions coming out very soon.
And actually I had some sort of academy a few years back that was run by Gianpula.
We had an academy, I think it was about 3 years ago, for a year. We got some new people involved, which did very well. But then, unfortunately, after a year, we stopped it.
You over the years, you've opened a few new venues, maybe rebranded them, started this academy. It seems like you do like to experiment with a lot of new things. Do you have a process whereby you come up with these ideas and then take them to market, or do they just come through naturally for you and your team?
No, they come naturally from myself and from the team. Like, for example, the camping, it came out of nowhere. But obviously, you need to just keep one step ahead, because in entertainment, this is not like an office or like a normal shop. You're always having to change things up. And normally, even the venues, every 2 years, every 3 years, you're seeing changes in the venues, that when clients come, we're always brushing them up to make them obviously better and better, and also to an international standard, international level. So if foreigners come over, they're seeing obviously nightclubs that are on the Ibiza kind of level, and the other Mediterranean countries.
And we often hear sometimes good press, bad press about the economic impact of the nightlife industry, especially when it comes to tourism. Do you think that we should be more appreciative of what we have, or we should be more careful to actually ensure that the products we are providing are safe?
No, that's strange, because, for example, at the moment when no tourists are coming over, everyone's criticizing because we have a problem, no tourists are coming over. When in 2019, for example, so many tourists, I think it was 2.7 million tourists were in the country for the entire year. Then everyone's saying there's too many tourists. So there needs to be a balance. At the end of the day, entertainment, obviously 2.9 million tourists, not all for entertainment. They're all for the different niches that Malta provides. But when it comes to entertainment, I think we need to realize that entertainment is here to stay. I think the government needs to build on more entertainment as in festivals, because the amount of even revenues it brings over to the country in such a short period is great, and everyone is feeding off it when it comes to taxis, bars in Budget Bar or St. Julian's, restaurants, nightclubs, Airbnb, 3-star, 4-star hotels. You have to understand we have many more 3-4-star hotels than we have 5-star hotels. We had the product we at the moment, which we really have, let's be honest, is not a 5 or 6-star resort. It's a 3-4 star. So we have to understand what we are, and that's what we are. We're a 3-4 star.
Of course, the theme for this whole web series is fuck ups and success. What kind of mistakes have happened, and how have you either learned from them, or how have they helped you to form your future strategy? Do you have any kind of examples?
I think the biggest one that comes to mind when it comes to fuck ups, I think, would be when you can't touch, or you have to be a bit very, very careful, especially now with the health and safety. And I remember a few years ago when a client collapsed on the floor. Security had to take him out. He was not actually breathing. Ambulance came for him, which took, I would say, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. And unfortunately, in the ambulance, he passed away. He was very heavily on various substances, unfortunately. So what I've taken from that is we actually created our own in-house paramedic center. So now there's a paramedic center, an ambulance on site, where we don't take anything for granted, we don't take anything for risk. Even if it's just an event of 500 people, we always have it on site. Because you never know what can happen, and that was a big learning curve in my career, to obviously not have that happen again. So all people that come there feel safe. That if something, God forbid, does go wrong from the client's perspective, then they know that there's quick help from our end.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's
also obviously the other. Going back to another fuck up is obviously when I thought with the village trying to go into different type of markets, going back again to the corporate market. I think the corporate market was just not us. It was a way of trying to diversify. It never worked. We tried doing it for 2 years. We spent loads of massive capital in it to actually create a venue for corporate kind of look. Never worked, and that's when obviously we just decided to turn it into a nightclub, an indoor nightclub. Before we're focusing on the outdoor nightclubs, turned it into an indoor nightclub, and it worked much better for us.
Sometimes, of course, you see new events coming out, and it takes a bit of courage, a bit of guts for somebody to launch their own maybe event brand. They don't always end up in success. Sometimes it could happen where you don't reach the numbers you have that you would want.
Yes, but to be fair, the advantage is, and this is what we had done. One of the things I wanted to do when I was 19 years old, is because the venue before was one block. When I realized at the age of 19, it was becoming harder and harder to fill just one block in one night, and that's when I decided to split it up into various different locations, different capacities. So now at the moment we have capacities from a venue of just 200 people to a venue of 20,000 people, which is obviously where the festival areas. So when DJs or promoters come to us, we can allocate various type of venues that fit their kind of market, which has helped us bring in more revenues and bring in more people towards our team. And that was one of the successes, to be fair, over the years that we had done, when we just split up the venue into a different type of markets.
If you had to say some words to maybe a young DJ or a young promoter who's dreaming or thinking about starting his own thing as soon as things clear out, what would you say?
Well, as things clear out, I think it's going to be the people that are the established ones that take off first. I think it's going to be harder for a startup now than it was before, because the market is going to be so flooded that I don't think it's the time for them to actually start now. I think at the moment the established ones will come onto the scene immediately, and they will fill up immediately. But then obviously things will start to calm down as months go by, and that's when I believe a new person should come in with a new kind of strategy and a new kind of maybe event or night, when people would be ready for a change. People are not ready for a change now. People want the same at the moment. They want to just get back into clubbing as they knew last June. So basically around 10, I think it was about 9 years ago, we noticed that daytime was coming slowly into effect with clubbing. And people were starting slowly going into daytime type of events. And that is when we decided to create a venue for daytime on its own, which was called the Rooftop. And that helped us a lot not to lose out on the market. So where people would come there, for example, I remember the days around 8 years ago, on a Sunday, they would come at 5 p.m., come to the Rooftop and spend around 4 hours in the same location, then just cross the road to another venue and stay on till 4 a.m. Whereas what was happening before, people were coming later because they were in a different type of daytime venue, coming later and spending, and obviously less hours in our venues. So with the Rooftop, obviously it helped us capture a longer hours and longer audiences.
You're always creating different concepts and taking action on them, but do you consider yourself a creative person?
The venues I've created by myself, so it's the direction and what I want in the venue was always done by myself, and that comes from what people want. But obviously, knowing what people are wanting.
But how do you plug into that stream of?
You can see it basically. Keeping your feet on the ground and speaking to people, having touch base with people of what they're looking at and what they're seeing, and obviously what happens abroad as well. Abroad plays a big factor in what we do as well, and obviously we move depending on the trends, and obviously depending on what people want.
Okay, which would you say is your favorite venue at Gianpula?
Favorite venue, I think the Baby would be the Marrakesh one. That I think would be the favorite one. Favorite one of them all. However, the one that obviously gives me the most pride will remain the main room because we've been, I think in 2017 we're ranked 52nd best club in the world. That gave a lot of pride to myself and to obviously the team. We're the only nightclub in Malta that has that kind of stature, and we're obviously hoping to.
And what was the process like for that? Did they contact you? Or
they basically contacted us, and they told us through a survey of people around the world, you've been actually ranked 52nd club in the world. For us, it was a big surprise, but it was great satisfaction. And obviously, every year we're trying to make the venues better, the clubs better. So in that way, we try and get closer and closer to the not top one in the world, but obviously we'll hope to get in top 10 in the world in the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, that's a good vision, and one we all hope can see. Just because we obviously enjoy many of the parties that happen there on a regular basis.
Also, another thing, obviously, we also tried to go into the food market, which some foods in some of the venues. Some of them did work, some of them did not work. I remember, for example, when we started with the Rooftop, we had chefs over there and trying to with this sushi type of platters. It didn't work. People, again, wanted to come there just to party and just to enjoy themselves. But, for example, our fast food outlets then work very well.
You think that's a combination of knowing your niche, or
yes.
is it?
It's basically what people want. I'm a person, if I start something and after 5-6 months, it could be a bit of a drawback, but after 5-6 months, a year, it doesn't work, I just trash it and change it up. I don't keep on.
So we have to say if you're going to fail fast, that is something you would.
Well, everyone has their own perspective of the way they do things. The way I do things, especially in the nightlife industry, because it's so fast, you can't wait too long. If it doesn't work in 5-6 months, a year, I just change it and scrap it up.
Okay, thank you for joining us here today, Matthew. That was Fuck Ups and Success, episode 1. We're looking forward to the next episode, so stay tuned for that, and we'll be back for more.